Happy Saturday, everyone. Let me get Whitney in real quick. Welcome to Choose to Be You Live Podcast. Waiting for Whitney to show up. Hey, Whitney, I see you're in the group. I'm going to call you so you can join. There you are. Hey,
Hi,
Whitney.
how are you?
I'm good. Can't complain. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
How's the day going so far?
Really good. My family is actually barbecuing for the day, so
Oh, nice. I wish I was where you are then.
say that again.
I wish I was where you are.
Yes.
I could use some barbecue in my life.
How's your Saturday?
It's going pretty good. Can't complain. Got some workouts in. Actually did some yoga this morning because I thought about this podcast, so I did some yoga this morning.
Nice, nice. Always good to start your day off with a little bit of yoga. Nice stretch, get your day going.
Definitely. And that's a good transition into today, our second episode of our live podcast. I'm so excited about this. Obviously, we had a brief conversation earlier this week, and I'm so excited to dive into this. Whitney Mitchell, everyone, the yoga beauty queen, as I call her. That's why I'm so excited about this. She's so dynamic. There's so much to her. So I'm excited to
Thank
uh,
you.
introduce you to her and expose you to her as well. So since we were talking about yoga, let's dive right in. So what got you into yoga?
So right off of from stemming from your introduction, beauty pageants actually got me into yoga. I was looking for, or I just kind of started beauty pageants, and I was looking for a fitness routine. And I just I ended up having a yoga studio that was about 5 minutes from my office at the time, and so I started going like 3 times a day. I don't know. I just kind of immediately fell in love with it. I fell in love with the community of it, and the whole vibe of yoga. And then I also just loved that it was an a very efficient workout without putting a ton of pressure on my joints, without putting a ton of pressure on my knees. It was really nice. It was a way to be really nice to my body. So, in pursuit of trying to win a beauty pageant, I was going hardcore into yoga, and then I also learned all the different styles of yoga. So it's not just yin yoga or just super slow yoga. I was doing like yoga sculpting and just a whole just with a mix of like Pilates as well, yoga with weights. Um, and I just fell in love, and I've been doing it ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. So for you mentioned that if the beauty pageant got you into yoga. So how do you find that? What best complements yoga or the complementary aspects of yoga and the beauty pageant? How do they complement each other?
Well, first of all, yoga is it's much more than just a workout, and winning a beauty pageant is much more than just a crown. There's a lot of
Wow.
behind the scenes work. There's a ton of different things that actually go into it. But really, I think what beauty pageants did for me and what yoga both did for me is they both kind of brought me back to myself, in a sense that I had to kind of start with me, start with how I think, how I feel, how I see myself. And if you've ever taken a yoga class, teachers they usually start off with yoga is the unity of self.
Mm.
So that was really like the biggest compliment of yoga to beauty pageants. I found a lot of times I was on my mat kind of discussing things about myself, or realizing about myself. A lot of times I was forcing things that didn't fit. And instead of, taking those things out or avoiding those things, I kind of learned to work through them. And I think through yoga, I got so much stronger internally, um, than I would have without it. especially pursuing beauty pageants.
Wow, that's pretty deep. I was talking to one of my friends a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about, working out, but also the importance of working in. And that seems like that's
Yeah.
what you're dealing with, what you're talking about or referring to right now. That's pretty powerful.
Absolutely. Every single yoga class, every single yoga workout always has some sort of a reflective moment. And I find those a lot more, sometimes those are more powerful than a full, hour, 2 hour workout. Just kind of learning something about yourself, learning how you process things, or learning how you look at certain challenges. All of that information is very, very vital in, a fitness journey or a weight loss journey, or, because the goal will most likely fluctuate, but what will remain the same is how you view yourself, how you feel about yourself, and ultimately how you nurture yourself in those good or bad times.
Wow. Again, powerful. That totally makes sense. And I can totally resonate. I'm sure everyone else can resonate with that too. That's totally powerful. So beauty pageants specifically, like what inspired you to get into it? Obviously you said, yoga, beauty pageant got you into yoga. How did you get into beauty pageants? Like what got you interested in that?
Yes. Well, today is actually a perfect day to have this conversation because Miss Universe is happening today.
That's awesome.
So everybody go out and watch the Miss Universe pageants. But still, I have always watched the Miss Universe pageants. I've always watched Miss America. And I just always, on a surface level, I always saw myself on stage. I always saw myself kind of having that very elegant, very royal presence, very regal presence on stage. And that's kind of what drew me in. And then in doing a little bit of learning about pageants, you learn that pageants really prepare women to be very well-rounded women. And that's something that I'm also really passionate about, is just being a very well-rounded woman. Like, what do I bring to the table? Like, is it just going to be one thing, or is it going to be, I'm fit, but I'm also smart. I can be more than one thing. And that's what beauty pageants kind of showed me. And so I just kind of went for it. And I learned so much about myself in beauty pageants, even from just picking a platform or something that I'm passionate about, which also brings me back to physical fitness. As an African-American woman, we know that obesity or, high blood pressure, diabetes, all these things kind of run in a lot of African-American families. And so that's kind of my passion behind why I wanted to share what I've learned through yoga and through, my pageant preparations with other women of color, and then just women in general. So yes, that's, I guess, kind of how I got into beauty pageants.
You use several keywords like passion. I love that you use that.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
feel like you're grounded in helping others, like being of service to others. So I feel like that's a part, an element of what you said.
Which is definitely one of the main things that I got from pageantry. You're only doing half the job if you're only doing it for yourself. The other half of whatever you do, whatever you love, is giving it to those around you, sharing what you know, sharing who you are with those around you. We're all a village, and as much as you can help the next person, you'll help yourself.
Wow, love that. That's so aligned with choose to be used values, like our team and how with the message that we communicate. We want to be of service to others. We have a passion for health and wellness, and that's physical and mental. We want to help everyone to be positive, happy. So I love your mindset. I love your passion for helping others. That's pretty important. I feel like we could do a whole other episode on passion itself. That's like
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
That's so powerful. So in terms of, let's say, your passion, do you find that, yeah, since let's say you were young, did your passion change along the way, or has it always been something along the lines of beauty pageants? Like since you started watching art, was something else involved, or what would you say?
I can't say that my passion changed at all. I think that I have just kind of found different ways to look at it. But I can say, like, a lot of people say, if you want to find your passion, go back to what you would do as a child. What were you passionate about as a child? What did you do as a kid? What made you happy? And I can honestly say that something along the lines of beauty pageants or being on stage. I did ballet for a very long time growing up. So I guess kind of, yeah, I think I just have found a lot of different ways to look at it rather than it changing. And I still don't think that it's changed today, even though I'm not sure if I'll continue pageants or not, but I think I'll still find myself somewhere along those lines.
Yeah, that's
Be
totally.
it with yoga or just how it, I'm actually not sure how it will stem out from here, but I think I have a foundation kind of centered around my passion for pageantry and physical fitness that will kind of lead me from here on out.
Yeah.
So
I love that though. I love listening to Jay Shetty. That's one of my favorite persons to listen to. And one of his podcasts I listened to last week, he talked about, purpose, and he talked about passion, and he talked about having fixed goals. And he said you don't necessarily need to have fixed goals. And this aligns with what you pretty much said, right? You're pretty much like, you don't know even where it's going to take you necessarily, as long as you're like agile and you're flexible.
yeah.
And you as things come, because you can have different experiences, you can be exposed to different people, your environment could change. So as that happens, like your interest could change, your goals might shift a little bit. So remaining agile and flexible is very important as you continue your journey through life.
And that's happened to me multiple times within the past like 5 or 6 years. Even just thinking that I had, one. If you would have asked me, I would just compete in a pageant, win, and like be done, like just automatically be like a huge success from it. But that wasn't realistic. That also did not happen. I have to this day never actually won a pageant. But that doesn't take away from all the things that I have won through pageantry. So I've won, a ton of different awards that I'm really, really proud of. I've placed on some pretty big stages that there were a lot of really, 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 really good competition. And I'm really proud of those things. And like I said, pageantry is a lot more than just winning a crown. It's all the things that go into the process. And so when you think about that, and now the yoga and everything else that I've been able to garner along the way, I'd say I have won. It's not the win that I thought I was going to get, but I have won, and it has changed how I view winning a crown.
Wow, like that was so chilling. Like, I don't know if you could see, but like the hair, like I have goosebumps.
Yeah.
Just said seriously, because I totally agree with you in what you just said. Like, I love that you said that, okay, you had the goal of winning the pageant itself. Like, you didn't win, but you had wins within that process itself.
Yeah.
That's so huge, because a lot of people get fixated on, okay, they failed or they lost something or they didn't.
Right.
That was the only thing that mattered. But whether it's the experience you got or some type of exposure, like those are wins within the process of that. And wow, like you just, yeah, we have to have another like episode on like on passion about winning and about losses. Yeah, I love what you just said. That's so powerful.
Yeah. I have definitely learned you got to celebrate those small wins, because you might not get that big win, and it's not a failure. Maybe it just wasn't for you. Like, your win will come in due time, or maybe that's not. Maybe you were only meant to get those small wins throughout the process. But if you lose, and you also just kind of have to keep going. There were times obviously when I didn't win and I was devastated, but I still got to go back to work. I still have to get back to work. The goal still hasn't been met. And if it's not a pageant, maybe I still use those skills to secure something different. But win or lose, you got to get back to work.
I love that. So another question around that, as far as, the losing and getting back to work, especially during these times, when people are struggling, whether it's mentally or they're looking for a job, right? Jobs, things like that. What would you say to those people in terms of how you were able to rebound from losses, or how you were able to view losses, right? In terms of reacting or dealing with them. What would you say to them that would be inspirational for them, or to give some insight to how you dealt with that?
I'd say honestly, I think the biggest thing is to just keep going. Loss or rejection is inevitable. It happens to everyone. You're going to see it, you're going to experience it. But the thing is, you can't get lost in it. You can't let it swallow you up. You have to keep going. And this is what I literally tell myself, because I want to quit all the time. Like, especially when you feel like you put everything you have into one goal, and then that one goal doesn't happen, and you're like, why me? Why not me?
Mm-hmm.
It's really easy to fall into that, but the work is not in vain.
Yes.
The target is a moving target, but the work is not in vain. Everything that you learn, you're able to still take with you. You know, everything that you garner along the way, those things you get to keep. So just, how can I still use these same skills in another direction? Is there another job that I can apply for? Is there another program, or can I start my own, whatever it is? Just find ways to keep going. That's really, just keep swimming. Like,
I love that.
Literally, don't stop.
I love that. That totally makes sense. And it goes back to being agile, because I love that you said moving target. That goes, making sure you're continually flexible and agile, and not being, having your goals to be too fixed. So I love that. Yeah.
Absolutely. You also find there are a lot more things that you may be interested in that you didn't even know that you were interested in. Like the yoga thing, I didn't realize how much I loved yoga and the community of yoga if it weren't for beauty pageants. It seems like they would be two completely separate things, and they are. But if I had not pursued beauty pageants, I would have never really gotten into yoga the way that I have, and I would have never realized the importance of sharing the things that I learned. Even though a lot of people may not be into it, it may not come across as well to some people, but it's what I have to give, and as long as you're giving what you have to give, that's really the goal.
Yeah, I like that. I love that. You drop in like some gems today. You inspiring me, seriously. So my last question for you, which is a question I love to ask people in my circle, just around being the best version of themselves. So when you think about the best version of Whitney, as you go along this journey of yours, as you pursue your passion, as you fulfill your passion, what does that look like? Like, what do you envision the best version of Whitney to be?
The best version of Whitney is disciplined. I tell people all the time, confidence comes from proper preparation, and I truly feel my best self when I know that I've stuck to my routine, when I know that I've done what I'm supposed to do, when I know that I've put the work in the right places, when I have stuck to my plan. Because on the opposite side of that, I feel my worst when I know I haven't done what I'm supposed to do. When I know I have, like, I can't be sad that I haven't met my fitness goals on stage when I have been eating burgers for the past 2 weeks, and I had a plan and I just didn't stick to it. So when I'm in line with the goals that I've set for myself, that's when I feel like I'm my best self, and that still doesn't have any bearing on whether I win something or whether I lose something. It's strictly about sticking to the goal and doing what I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do it. You can't lose, because at the end of the day, I've also stayed true to myself. I've made myself happy. And I feel like, when you do get to those moments of results and it's a yes or a no, I feel 10 times better knowing that I did everything that I can. Whether I win or I lose, I did everything that I was supposed to do, and I feel my best.
I love that. I really love that. I really love
for yourself. Show up for yourself every time, always.
I had one of my friends, we always talk about showing up, and we always say if you show up yourself, like show up for yourself, it's easy to show up for others as well. So as you are in the pursuit of being of service to others, like that makes it easier. show up for yourself first. So I love that you said that.
Absolutely. I mean, and it inspires other people to show up for you as well. You know, when
Yeah,
you first start something, you might have 2 or 3 people in your audience, but people see you consistently showing up for yourself, and over time, you realize that now you actually have a crowd of people also rooting for you because they know that you've shown up for yourself as well, and that matters. That counts. So, no,
totally. Community. I
yeah,
love.
it builds community for sure.
Yeah, okay. You dropped some gems. I'm like, I wish we could continue this like all day. Like seriously, I just wish.
Yeah.
But so we have to do another episode. We really
Yes, absolutely.
definitely. But before we end, I just want to acknowledge you, Whitney, seriously, for being passionate about what you do, for continuing to pursue your goals, like being flexible about them, whether it's a win or a loss, finding the small wins within the process. I just want to acknowledge you for being that light for others as well. Because to your point, I'm sure like people follow you, and I even saw in the comments you are very inspirational. Someone said that, so I just want to just acknowledge you for that, and I appreciate you for taking the time to be on here and talking with me.
Absolutely.
I'm inspired as well, so I appreciate you myself. So I look forward to another episode with you for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Audrey. I really, really, really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you for sharing your platform with me. Thank you to everyone in the comments. I really appreciate you all. And as I continue to show up for myself, I hope that inspired you guys to do the same for yourself. And we're all in this community together. So
Totally agree with you. Thank you so much, Whitney.
absolutely. Have a good day.
You too.